I'm like having a real moment over here where I'm like seeing everyone's names in the chat and I just keep like scrolling through all of the pages of people here and like having like a really big feeling about just like how sick it is that we're all in the same like Zoom room. There are so many people in this Zoom that are like have been people who have changed my whole reading and writing life. And it just like feels crazy. Um, Especially just like, I don't know, all of the readers and I don't know, this is wild. So I just wanted to earnest acknowledgement. um, yeah, Shabby Doll House changed my life.
So tonight we're celebrating Shabby Doll House, the literary journal, and now the publisher of these two stunning books, which I will hold up every time I mention them.
Yeah, hold them up if you do have them nearby you.
This book by Lucy K. Shaw. I've already forgotten how to say it again.
The big thing here is we're celebrating Lucy and Sarah Jean publishing their books. I practiced how to say this multiple times.
Troisième bag.
And We Die in Italy are the two books that if you don't have yet, you should be getting them. We're celebrating them tonight.
So now it's time to hear from Lucy and Sarah, whose books we're celebrating tonight. I just want to say a few words about what I love most about them together, and then later I'll introduce them individually. So I really love the friendship that they have and the way that they've used that energy to power Shabby Doll House, to amplify voices that might not get heard or might have taken longer to be heard. And the thing I respect most about both of them is that everything they do is real and genuine and motivated by a sense of friendship and heart. So just before we get Sarah to read, I want to hand over briefly to Lucy. Hi, Lucy.
Hi.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about how it came about that Shabby Doll House became a publishing house.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so basically Shabby Doll House, as some of you probably know, was a magazine that I started like in 2012, and Sarah Jean edited with me, and Stacey Teague also edited with me. Stacey, do you have do you have some kind of background, or are you just actually in this, like what is, oh no, that's real, okay. All right. I've been wondering. Anyway, we did that together for a long time. We published a lot of people and a lot of people who are here, and then we did some other stuff for a bit, and then this year Sarah Jean and I like in the springtime sometime we had a conversation and we were both like, oh, we both realized that we'd finished or basically finished books, and we were like, what are we going to do about that? Like, we're going to try and find someone to publish them. That seems annoying. And we just thought, I think, I thought because mine, I kind of felt like I wanted people to read it soon. I was like, I think I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm just going to like figure out how to make a book and put it out. And I don't care about like whatever it's, you know, the name on it or whatever. And then Sarah was like, yeah, okay, me too. And so we thought, all right, cool. We'll do it ourselves and we'll figure out how it works. It can't be that difficult, right? And it turns out it's not that difficult, but it's complicated and kind of long and boring. But now that we know, we can do it again and it won't be so bad. But yeah, we didn't initially think that we were going to do it as under the Shabby Doll House name, but then we just thought, what else are we're not going to make up another thing, another name to call it. Like, it obviously just is Shabby Doll House if it's the two of us doing it together. And yeah, and it felt like the same sort of attitude that we had in the beginning, which was that we had absolutely no idea what we were doing, but that we would try and do it anyway. So yeah, that's how it happened. And it's been really amazing so far because so many people have been really supportive, and everyone, well, not everyone, I mean, I don't know about everyone, but a lot of people seem to like the books, which has been key because obviously we decided to do it by ourselves. We didn't know. We just accepted them to our own press. We didn't know what you're going to think about them. So it's been a relief that people seem to enjoy them. And yeah, we have done 4 of the, we did like a real life launch in Brooklyn, and then we've done 4 of these, and it's just been like really, really fun to just like see everybody and hear everybody else and share this experience. So yeah, we're gonna do more. We want to do more books. So if you have one and you also don't care about the status of your publisher, then get in touch. We would like to read books by people like you.
All right. I'm going to start with this one, which seems fitting. It's called Terracotta October. You thinking of me is a phenomenon. You can feel it wedged there in your central nervous system, just reminding you that hello. In Florence, we are small. We are bright. You are so incredibly beautiful. The world is full of the both of us. It smells of terracotta October. Frescoes and bathwater, sweat and sensation, meaningless knowledge of the universe. The harvest moon like a pit of roses. If you describe an object as milky, I'm going to want to taste it.
I picked some of my favorite pieces that we published together on Shabby Doll House. I picked 2 pieces, and I'm going to read those right now. The first one, I picked this one. The first one is called Loveless by Carolyn Rayner. Loveless. What do I pour? Chocolate energy drink down the bathroom sink. Free bleed in the garden. Suck on chunks of honeydew. A little archipelago ripens on linoleum. Maple syrup and semen. I was wearing a velvet leotard and Chelsea boots. How do I make it stop? Kudzu coils around my calves while I mourn thinspo. The kind of girl who crushes her multivitamins into fertilizer. My adolescent cone saved as a voicemail. No matter how much nectar I smear under my arms, I still smell like desert clit and smoke. I piss mango juice at night. 12 years old and throwing up freaks me out. Ice cream cake tastes like fig, tastes like cactus, tastes like hair. 21 and I vomit all over my pillow. Afterward, into winter, I wake up naked, red ribbon tied in a bow around my stomach. 23 and no green tea until after the abortion. Unshaven cloud in New York. I grow like a dandelion, like an oyster. I dream under a safe light, flooded with chemicals. My scar freshly congealed. I go out for sushi with a beekeeper and cry in the bathroom. Homesick, my knees give out on the elliptical.
My desire for life is unlimited. I'm romantic, like a virus. One dies so that the other can live. I have no dignity. If you threw me a chocolate, I would eat it. If you threw me another one, I would eat it. If you threw me another one, I would eat it. If you threw me another one, I would eat it. If you threw me another one, I would eat it. If you threw me another one, I would eat it. If you threw me another one, I would eat it. If you threw me another one, I would vomit. And then I'd eat it. And eat the chocolate too. Thank you for listening.
It's a very Wellington poem. So apologies to the people that are not in Wellington, but hopefully it's still very relatable. It's called In This City. In this city, nobody has a car, so you have to key their bike. You have to walk down the street past all the people you've been in and out of love with, and all the people they've been in and out of love with, and so on. And they all look at you and know that someone they have been in and out of love with has been in and out of love with you, or still is in love, or out of love, which is different to nothing at all. Until one day you run out of people and circle back around to the beginning. When I go through the sequence again, I might take a break when I get to you. I'm sure you understand. Maybe one day I'll walk into a room and won't expect to see you. Not that you'll be there, I just won't expect you anymore. Maybe the you of this poem isn't you at all. It's actually you, or you. Thank you.
I'm nervous because I've never read in English, so bear with me. But yeah, I've selected a couple of poems from my book, and I hope you like them. Hospital drama. It's not your fault is something you hear pretty often after a breakup. I didn't think it was my fault, but thanks. It's also a certain tonality, similar to how this lady I shared the hospital room with would ask me every morning, "How are you doing, sweetheart?" Plump and soft-spoken, me bound like I'd just been in a car accident. I actually had a piercing infection, but it had become severe, as this is my talent, always. I'm all right, is what I tell people, as if I'd been gravely ill. It's not like I can tell them that I've been watching series with doctors and beautiful women. I know Meredith is a terrible actress, and she has the most annoying laugh. But after like 6 seasons, I grew to like her. Every episode seems to have 2 essential things. There is always someone who dies and someone who hasn't confessed their love. And in the last few minutes of their life, they decide to say, "Hey, so I just wanted to let you know that I've been in love with you for like 10 years. Then he cries. He's also in love, but he's a man. He wasn't aware. "Let's get a house and a dog. We'll have a lake and a dock," he says between sobs. And one of those tire swings. The tire swing and the dog will simply just be there when they buy the house. I'm all right. I know that in real life, people don't barge in hospital rooms with a 10-minute frantic speech at the end of which they kiss sloppily against the walls while their friends watch from behind the glass door. In real life, I think people break up and then they have mediocre relationships for years while checking somebody else's Facebook status and go on Russian websites to anonymously look at Instagram stories. While typing the username in the search bar, their hearts beat so fast their fingers shake, almost as if they were barging into a hospital room to declare their love to a dying person. In real life, people buy plane tickets with ultimatums. They end up nowhere, and then they suffer quietly behind blue screens. If you don't wake up, see their face, and are just overwhelmed with pure joy, then nothing is worth it anymore, is what a friend told me one morning in Bucharest, while standing drunkenly in the red light of the hotel by the train station. I never know if I feel lonelier when I come or when I leave, or if I stay. I'm all right. I've Googled you 3 times already. I feel like I'm going mad. I'm terrified that if I die in a plane crash, we won't even have those 3 minutes for me to tell you how often I dream you're in my kitchen in the morning.
Maybe it's the space I navigate, maybe it's culture at large, but I find it genuinely so helpful that I can talk about the things I need for myself in order to feel sane and have people know where I'm coming from and not judge me for being needy or selfish, which feels like mental health is being widely recognized as real and accommodated for in at least some ways. A cool thing about me is that I am constantly analyzing everything, maybe not all at once, but I'm definitely overthinking and deconstructing things that I would be better off just navigating or enjoying. It's not that I'm highly intelligent, it's that my brain thinks I'm highly intelligent, and it seems hell-bent on convincing me of just how smart I am by having me constantly process things I don't need to process until I ruin every experience for myself. And so, like someone screaming, "Calm down," when you're stressed out, which is not that helpful, my brain identifies that I'm losing my shit and immediately feeds me a list of self-care tips to combat the feeling. Drink water, yoga breaths. But then, in my brain's infinite faux wisdom, it identifies that these are coping mechanisms, which therefore means there is something that needs coping with, triggering a secondary red alert, because now we're not just worried about the root cause of this anxiety or panic, we're also on general high alert for a mental illness event, which requires we double down on the whole thing. The nice thing is that a lot of these tips that start to flood my brain are useful and actually help. As I understand innately, thanks in part to Michelle Branch's hit 2003 single, Breathe, if I just breathe and let it fill the space between I'll know everything is all right. My body might actually slow my heart rate down, and I can stop the whole process before the red alerts and coping mechanisms really start to cycle out into full-blown mania. Here's a list of useful coping mechanisms that you can transform into personal triggers or distractions from actually dealing with the root cause of your shit. Or if you're not me, they might just be helpful tips. Create space for yourself, physical distance from other things. Do some intentional deep breathing. Have a glass of water because you are water and you need water and everything is water. Create space for yourself, emotional concept of a safe place to go to in your mind. Portion out a small number of baby carrots and then feel their nice cold crunch. I actually was thinking of you, Sarah Jean, when I put the baby carrots. Give yourself time because it is not a race, even if you are sweating for some reason. Contemplate what it all means in a non-spirally way. Be patient with yourself. Smile at yourself in the mirror until you feel like smiling for real because the smile trick worked or because it's genuinely funny to smile at yourself in the mirror for more than 5 seconds. Listen to that song that's hardwired into your body that you know every word and note and beat and breath to that puts your entire brain into autopilot mode. Do something with your hands, clench fists, hold your own thumb, hold your hands behind your back, wiggle fingers. Do something with your hands, something tactile like rake a Zen garden. Just kidding, who has an emergency Zen garden on them at all times? But maybe you could fold and tear and roll up scraps of paper over and over into tiny little paper straws or tie the accordion or a pile of confetti until you lose it in your pocket or save it in your wallet for 3 years and make it into art for this book. Make mouth sounds, loud vowel sounds, or singing or talking to yourself as long as nobody's around to question your sanity. Go for a walk. Don't drink a coffee. Massively underrated, but highly recommended strategy. Watch a movie alone, sorry. Sit in a dark room where it's definitely okay to cry. Read a book so your brain has to focus on something that's not you. Call someone only if you're either ready to speak calmly to another person or you're so far gone that maybe you need to tell someone so they can help. Look at inspirational therapy memes and then share a few too many in the group chat until someone asks if you're okay. Talk to a therapist. It's literally their job to listen. Take your medication as part of a holistic and collaborative approach with your doctor. And finally, write a list of self-care tips. And then I've just written a note here that says, maybe let's talk about the things we don't talk about before it's too late to talk about them. Thanks.
I wrote a book in the era of when Shabby Doll House first came to be, and it was this book, I Am Here. And I'm going to read an excerpt from a poem that's in that collection called Opus Seed Iris Omega, but it's been kind of cut down a bit. So Opus Seed Iris Omega. I lie to myself in order to tell the truth. I have attempted to tell of a world that doesn't exist in order to make it exist. The past is only beautiful for those who weren't present. Mystery is important. It creates intrigue. I am drawn to the holes in things. The name of my Wi-Fi network is Lonesome No More. All of my internet passwords are variations of the same combination of words and numbers. I scroll with 2 fingers, gliding. I crave convenient forms of compassion. I think so that I can know. Everyone feels sad sometimes. It's okay to feel sad, just don't. It's the role of the artist to not succumb to despair. Ugg boots are for people who have given up on life. Our habits are future artifacts. Soon our futures will be habitual artifacts. You can't get away from yourself by moving from one place to another. Reality is never as glamorous as anyone expects. The essence of things is kept untouchable. A medium is a tool in which the world makes itself known and seen and heard. Our artifacts will replace us. One time I wanted to reach out to God, so I stuck my laptop as far into the sky as my arms could reach. My arms flew right off my body and disappeared into the noosphere. It was not recorded on the internet, so do you care if it even happened? Information isn't always correct. There is a lack of sincerity. If people feel like they're on the outside of something, they'll start saying things about people that are on the inside and vice versa. Maybe there is no inside and outside. I have abandoned billions of pixels of myself, entire galaxies of pixels. I have abandoned a piece of wind that was myself at one point that will never return. Such pastels of silken sun, such pixels of life. The sun never rises in a room with no windows. I know I'm falling in love when all I want to do is lay under the covers and touch someone else and pretend I have extra limbs. My habits are future artifacts. My habits are a clock that doesn't tick, that comes more than it comes, that goes more than it comes. I am just earth adjusting to the water I am adjusting. Let the light just be the light and do what it does. Thank you very much, everyone. Very excited for the other readers.
So I think when I think of Shabby Doll House, I think of friendship being like, you know, the number one goal. That shit is sick. Not to be colloquial, not to reveal the skate park in me. I'm gonna read you guys something new. It's not even edited. You know, sometimes like ODB, a famous philosopher and rapper, once said, sometimes you like it raw, but I did not edit this. I wrote this on the 3 a.m. train from New York City a few days ago. Verona says to me, "It's early, Kelly. It's so early and cold. Where are you going? Do you remember where you were born? Did you bring me something warm today?" "I'll be back, Verona. I'm taking some time I can't afford, but I am borrowing the time. You know, I'm asking death like they're my neighbor. Please, can I have some sugar? Can I have some sweet time?" I say, "I'll bring you back something, I promise, a hot something. I'll give you what I cannot savor. Like Jason and the Flea, someday someone you love will hate you. And I've got obligations that I'm leaving in order to see my friends that I can't afford, on time I cannot buy. RL lives in Kentucky now and can't water my plants, so I gotta make sure I get back home alive to water my monsteras. They like company more than anything. One time I left for a little too long and the vines grew sadly so limp, and when I came home I collected it up and took it to bed with me. I curled my body into it like wet names in a concrete, and I was so tired, and the vines wrapped around me, and soon I became dirt, and soon one day I won't make it home alive to water my plants, and I hope someone does, but for now I make the most of being alone by filling the time with pulling the plow, with using my spine as a ladder, with keeping my hair short so secrets don't gather. I'm leaving now, and I've been talking about leaving soon, and Verona, I've got something for you. I'm coming back shortly. It's been like a story of going. Reese texts me and says she misses me and that the truck is late at work, and I am wincing, hoping the girls are bending from the knees and lifting more than 40 pounds above their head. They are telling me it's time for me to go. You can do better than us. You can be better without us. Why did we work the pandemic without a parade? We should have asked for more. And my feet have these tiny breaks from days and days. And Adam tells me it's okay to sit down, but I don't want to still time. You'll never know the things my hands can make, because I'll never touch your face. And I could kill a man, but instead I'm kneading bread. And I'm boiling beans for Verona. She told me when I got home, I'm tired of the cold cans I get. And I want something hot and warm and real. So it's time to go. Let's go. Let's go. Up the stairs and around the corner. Run fast. Don't miss the train. Breathe heavy. So heavy. Chest bobbing like a buoy, like a body that wasn't made to float across the Atlantic and work this hard and never dream. The conductor says New York is next after I sit down, and I realize I am waking up, and now I am standing on the L and walking down a street that gets more and more familiar, and I am texting, I miss yous and see you soon, and it's different than 2 years ago. I'm so close, we are so close. John's nose is in my hair, and his hair is up my nose, and there's happy cola gummies on a table, and I will never be as happy as when I ate this many sweets. And yes, I want a happy life. You see, I borrow time from death, and I can feel everyone's bones when we hug, and I'm inhaling their woes. In my hands, we touch bones, and I stay up late till I find a pulse. And then it's like, let's go. I need a shower. I smell like the life I was living before this. If I shower now, I'll be new. If you hold me now, I'll be like just when I was born. Get in the car, go read some poems, look for rooftops to scream off of, but only find a mic in which I say, thank you for coming. I am so grateful that you are here to hear me say that I am grateful, and that I thank you for letting me see you, see me. I put these clothes on just for you, and I will take them off, and I'll wake up and stare at myself in the mirror, and I'll laugh because I can't recognize myself after all these mistakes. I ask you for grace. I beg your apologies, and I'll never get one for myself. So I'm all silver boots upstairs, down the L to the J, to the Q and back again. Allie has black wings and I twist gold into her hair. Hot wax and wine pour on my calf. And then it's down the stairs in canvas shoes and that shirt that Claire made that says, I'm working so hard to be with you. I'm working so hard to be free. But I won't ever be as carefree as this poem or the night I danced with Jesse in the living room and John's eyes are closed and Adam has these pious blue eyes and I feel like a bottle of Prosecco. Shake me up even if you don't have to. Shake me up even if I'm screw cap cheap. Shake me up and pretend I'm a shooting star. I'm soaring across the room. I'm going home. I'm leaving. Just leaving something vibrant and bubbly. Big emotion of the time when Sarah's mouth touched mine and the Braves won and Jake sold all his paintings except that weird one that reminded us all of the infinite jest. Ugh. And then more, we say. More, we need more. If we talk about it, we hate it more. The book or the man, or it seems to be the more I hate the book, the more it becomes relevant. And I won't pretend I finished it. Nah, hell no. I shut that shit with duct tape in 2011 and I used it as a yoga block. My spine was aligned and I was sitting on DFW's face and I was arching my back. And now I'm on the chain. I'm on the J. And I'm texting you. I want to read your lips like this poem. And say we will live forever on shared exhale, like all my friends sharing the same $20 back and forth. I want a backspit in the bottle, and if you fuck me, call it mutual aid. Love me and regenerate me like an old neighborhood. Wonder for wonder. I'm seeking only what the sea has swallowed, what Pangea has promised. So it's time to pack up. I'm walking down to Cow, my thick brown thighs in the short dress, and I'll only be here one time on Myrtle. I'm only here one time on Myrtle, and I have money to make, and so I have to make my friends see me. I have to make more money to afford my politics, and I have to be more so I can get carefree. How come my spine is a ladder? Why is there so much I can't afford? It's not your fault I'm stupid and the Braves win and I'm crying on the F and I rub the tears on the sleeve and then it's up the stairs and now let's go back down in Nike high tops and big hugs, see you soon, I'm home safe, I'm on this 3 a.m. train and now I'm right here in front of Verona. Good morning, Kelly. Where have you been? I thought maybe you died. Do you have something warm for me? Do you have something real? I'll be right back. I've just got to go around the corner and up the stairs one more time. Thank you.
I have decided I have late capitalist bulimia in which I purchase many things quickly and then almost immediately regret having consumed these things. I attempt to rid myself of these regrets as quickly as possible by donating old clothes and items that are similar to the items I have purchased in order to assuage the guilt I have contributed to the system. I also might have actual bulimia. I rewatched this documentary from my teenage years called Thin, which came out in 2005. Periodically, I researched the young women profiled from Renfrew, considered one of the most famous inpatient eating disorder clinics in the country, to see how they've survived. My favorite one commits suicide in 2008. My other favorite, the twin, made a blog post also in 2008, then disappeared for a while. I have watched this movie so many times, it reels in my head. I have searched for the young women many times. When I am not sick, I know not to watch it. Like reading Wasted, a memoir, I know exactly why I watch it and what I am looking for. There is a scene in the movie I can recall with particular clarity. One of the thinnest girls cries during a group therapy session. She's in her early or late 20s. She is attempting to warn a much younger girl, 16, by describing the experience of bringing prepackaged meals to Thanksgiving dinner and the separation of eating, of being unable to eat what her family eats, brings her to tears when she describes it. The hair rises on the back of my neck. It fills me with adrenaline to think about the times I have spent with my family eating separate holiday meals, meals I made just for me, with each calorie counted exactly as it needs to be. To think about the holidays I couldn't eat separately and so gorged myself gleefully on gravy and potatoes and meat before stealing away to the bathroom, where I had to figure out the most silent way to purge in a relative's house where every footstep echoed. Am I romanticizing the sickest parts of myself? Is this why I believe recovery to be false? I'm attending Alcoholics Anonymous to seek therapy for my eating disorder on Mondays at noon when my partner is at work, so I won't have to tell him I am going. Sometimes throwing up feels as good or better than sex because it is extremely personal and ritualized. It is easier for me to vomit when it's forced than when my body naturally attempts to vomit on its own from nausea or sickness. Lately, I don't want to have sex because I'm low energy and the sex seems to be more about the other person rather than about me. The girl from Thin who killed herself purged too. I'm not sure if she considered herself bulimic. There's volatility in purging food, in bulimia, that does not exist within the actions of anorexia. I felt most suicidal when I was purging every day, when it felt that any food in my body was an invasion I kept forcing upon myself. My partner does not know that I have relapsed. There is a kind of shame in being bulimic versus being anorexic, even when you are a very thin bulimic, as though there is an unwanted feminine chaos that exists within bulimia. I mean that anorexia is seen as the ideal because it is controlled. It is why the most common depiction of eating disorders on television are of anorexic. As I restrict my intake and attempt to become the idealized version of myself, which is, however, not the idealized version of how society believes I should be, eventually my body can no longer restrict. It can take days to get to this point, or months. I then unwillingly and also willingly consume as many calories as possible. I expunge them from my body. The truth comes out. I cannot be controlled. I am actually messy. A garbage person, eating garbage things and then wasting them. Anorexia is the organized, rational, masculine ideal to my unwanted feminine chaos. Maybe that is why it's the more idolized and glamorized disorder. Maybe that is why bulimics are not seen but instead heard. Forcing myself to do anything, even what I ultimately want, is something I am used to doing in all of my relationships, including the one I have with myself. AA meetings are the safest to attend because thin women don't bother me, but eating disordered women will make me want to vomit or starve. If I went to an eating disorder program, I would be pleased because I could revel in my sickness. I would get sicker even if I gained weight. Weight gain seems to be the only factor, or at least the main factor, in what recovery looks like to eating disorder programs. There is a tendency for anorexics to be extremely proud of their ability to hurt themselves in such a controlled and sustained manner. The girl from Thin who commits suicide was kicked out of Renfrew because she violated community rules. The therapist and administration called her tricky. They said they didn't trust her. At the beginning of her stay, she pocketed anti-anxiety medication to give to the twin who hid it in her room. They found the medication during a room check and determined this was a violation. Then they learned the girl got a tattoo during an unsupervised outing, which was also a violation. I'm inclined to believe another factor in her expulsion is because her weight had stabilized. It was at least more stable than other patients. Her insurance had run out, and her mother begged the hospital staff to keep her for another week. The father was footing the bill. The mother said to the hospital staff, "This is it for her." The mother said her father would not fund another stay like this again, and there was no one in her home state who could help her the way Renfrew could. I would be interested to know, if she had been more skeletal, how they would have weighed the decision to kick her out. With eating disorders, what factors determine how sick a person is? Is it how I see myself, or is it how you see me? I am interested in the shape of my thighs when they are around my partner's waist. They have changed sizes many times. Sometimes his eyes draw to my thigh gap. I think he prefers them that way when they are at their smallest, and I prefer them that way too. I hate how every time I decide to recover and eat a normal amount, I immediately regret my decision to be so square. I bargain with myself. Some people drink alcohol to forget. Some people gamble. Some people smoke. Maybe my smoking is that I stop eating or I eat too much and purge. My vice could be that simple if I let it. The truth, though, is that it is not simple. It gets out of hand. It causes problems.
I was about to enjoy this cereal, but then I remembered I'm not allowed to enjoy anything because I don't have a job. I go to a group interview and we have to stand in a circle the whole time while the interviewer says things like, "What kind of fruit would you be and why?" I can't think of a reply, but I'm not allowed to leave until I do. I've been seeing a lot of moon boots around lately. I can't remember if I took my medicine. I keep thinking, why am I doing this? To nothing in particular. Everyone I've dated or had sex with has been a dog person, and I hate dogs. Every time I mention to my mother that I'm finding it hard being unemployed, she says, "Why don't you start your own business? I really don't understand why you haven't tried to do that." My father is getting remarried. The wedding is at 7 a.m. He keeps asking me which brunch option he can put me down for at the restaurant. I say fried eggs on toast. He says, "Okay, I'll put you down for eggs Benedict." He asks me what I've been up to recently, and I say nothing because I am very depressed and anxious. He says, "Oh, right, well, I am thinking about getting the house renovated because there's no indoor-outdoor flow." At the wedding, I hug the bride and snag her dress with my fingernail. I bring a rubber plant as a gift. I keep blowing my nose every time someone looks at me so they won't talk to me. But in the middle of brunch, my aunt turns to me to say, "So, do you have any hobbies?" Well, I don't make art anymore. I just have disappointing relationships. All of my emails sound like I wrote them with a knife held at my throat. Here, I'll just read 2 more. I'm angry because I'm so cold and so ugly. I'm bored as soon as I wake up. It was good when I was pregnant because I had a goal and a structure to my life. The end goal was killing the baby, but at least I had something tangible to focus on. There's no point having crushes on people though, because people aren't that great. My date asked me what I was doing this weekend, and I said, "Wait, what day is it today?" And my date said, "Yeah, I guess all the days blur together when you don't have much going on." "Do you want to see the worst photo of me I just took?" I say to my sister. I feel like I start conversations with that maybe too often. My friend suggested that Em and I go on a double date with her and why. She said that we should go bowling. I said that I couldn't go bowling with my disability. She said, oh, like I don't really know what we could do then of a double date if we can't go bowling. It's my last one. Woke up from a message from someone I hadn't spoken to in a while that said, "Hey, so if you could send me nudes, that would be appreciated. I'm going to jail soon for 2 to 3 years." The only thing I have going on for me right now is that I have good nipples and good eyelashes. On the train, on the way to a job interview, I'm looking at my own notes to try and build my confidence. The interviewer asked me what I was doing between 2013 and 2015. I didn't feel like I could say debilitating depression or physical health. So I said that I worked as an English tutor for an educational company, but then she asked me for a reference from them.
After mode. I've always been impressed by people who manage to maintain relationships beyond the normal bounds of traditional marriage. There seems to be something in us capable of building deep attachments that cannot possibly be sustained, even on a permanent physical level. My cat just knocked over my cup of pencils. Many years ago, someone on Reddit wrote something that made me wonder if perhaps the nature of the relationship was actually very complex, because there was always been another side to a person I knew, one that might not be fully revealed. My friend had one more layer of intimacy, but it was invisible to him, and that made it that much more painful for us. My question here, if human sexuality cannot be entirely understood because it involves more fictional realities than conventional reality, why shouldn't our real-world partners be more mysterious? Perhaps like some alien kind of beings that can touch and communicate via telepathy.
These are a bunch of different dreams. The Zoo of Thinking. A billionaire sent a church bell the size of Texas into space. Later, he hired a peasant boy to fly up and ring the bell so that, quote, space could hear sound for the first time. A man has a dream in which he calls dreams the Zoo of Thinking. A woman gives a presentation on the Cyrillic alphabet. She says, Russian letters look really great, but it's hard to read if you only speak English. She compares letters from the Roman alphabet to the Cyrillic. She says, this is clearly the letter A, and I truly don't know what this symbolizes. He played cello his entire life and only told his friends yesterday. Instead of a beard, he had pieces of Caesar salad stuck to his face. No one mentioned it, and he didn't care to notice either. He received a picture of a penis from a phone number he didn't recognize. The anonymous person said, do you want to see what my dick wants? He received a second picture of the penis with a little banner on it that said, World Peace. They were friends in so much as they were tourists in a strange city, both staring at a monument to company. The disease was incurable. The doctors said this. They named the disease Steve Miller Band disease. The sick man in question was not named Steve Miller Band. He didn't even get to name his own death. His nipples are so large that his entire body is one nipple. He forgot to include an Oxford comma in the novel he was writing, and as a result, one of the main characters died. He couldn't revive them. In Paris, she wore a silk skirt. She visited many malls and cathedrals and could not stop crying. A French duck named Ariel makes everyone's life a living nightmare. The duck torments the residents of the farm, and still everyone loves Ariel. He wished to reduce every atom in size to create more available parking in the borough of Manhattan. The man encountered a genie. Instead of making a wish, the man bet the genie that he had never sneezed while sleeping. He lost. A clown car filled with blood is driving itself. It is an excellent driver. Full stops, uses the turn signal, deferential to pedestrians, etc. He was bleeding out on the sidewalk. A friend approached him concerned. What happened? My entire life, he said. My whole life, I've been standing next to dartboards. He moved to a country where there was no word for spit or spitting. When he tried to explain the concept to his new friends, they either laughed, were disgusted, or thought he was making it up. They stuffed their fingers in his mouth. A history student stood from his desk and said, "We need to seize the means of knowledge from teacher." The class tied the teacher down with rope, dividing him into two sections, and ripped the torso from his lower body. The dismembered teacher laughed. "I've always wanted this," he said. Sebastian Castillo lives in New York. He went to both Harvard and Yale to study three-sentence biographies. Thank you.
Imagine doing something every day for 10 years and then stopping. I am a bad man. I am a bad poet. I am a complete asshole. I have lived my whole life as though I am about to score 13 points in 33 seconds, like an NBA All-Star. I go 50, 40, 90, hole-in-one, touchdown, kickflip, first try. Write a book, French kiss, cunnilingus. How to break hearts, how to break free, how to do right by your family. 60 points, 11 dribbles. I have preconceived notions. I have really bad intentions. I am hunting down ancient evil like nobody's business. I turn everything that has nearly killed me into entertainment. I put all my eggs in one basket and smash the basket. I lay dormant. I start a fire. All senses dull. All systems go. Cocaine, acid, hippo versus doom, grizzly bear, grizzly bear, grizzly bear. When you intentionally hurt the ones you love most, you leave behind a demon you cannot kill. There is something chasing you your whole life. Something after you.
So I'm going to read part of a long poem that I've been working on for a long time called The Moan Wilds. And okay, yeah, I'm just gonna read it. Did someone yell my name because I would slide all the way open? When I say it gets heavy as the bottom of a lake, go out on the porch. Bring crackers, bring oranges, whatever a woman in khaki shorts might give. Not offer, the difference matters. Yelling on and on, midfield in khaki, yes, plus sunglasses. Too angular to flatter. I came late to understanding this look, even though my legs crave it, even though I know I can put my mouth to it, become hot. Something to do with your hands while she goes on yelling about position. Your name at the center, requiring running, demanding it, sun in your eyes and sounding it. Delirious, I said to you on the phone, supine in the weather, pouring out of me into the wood, bottomless, requiring salt, extra salt. Use both hands, making a mess that attracts light, enough to crush into more. Shoulders exploded, put them where they go. If they snap like wings into position, good. If you feel it happen, then you understand what I asked. The screen door, bloated in the wind, relax when it stops. Happening again, these waves, flooding the porch with attitude. Storm coming, voluptuous and loathing. That you know by the way it pulls your hair straight from the roots, electric in that manner, nightmarish. Slow the hell down, open from the underside, swell into position like the screen door. Magnolia grandiflora, catfish with a fat mouth, kneeling to meet it, deteriorating the bottom, the weekend, like fucking soft serve, what you scoop to access, making a cup to practice the sensation. Lips, you know what, when you look at it, when you extend to it, flattening. I want to tell you, no one cares about being polite and everyone feels mean, sucking the meat off the last olive, undoing it, leaving the pit in a glass. I want to tell you, wine requires muscle, or the best kind does. Gelatin shaped like someone took half of it from you. The kind of moon you bite into and hope it makes your mouth bleed, rubbing where you guess the bone is, dark pink, that kind of aftermath, like heaven is worth it. Show me that you believe me. Prove it to me. On this rotten day, suspended, everything in the atmosphere, resting where it will, pooling in the cavities where I bend a little. This wreckage I call a body, arriving at the edges constantly, fucked in this kind of weather, still oozing. I need a flashlight to see.
Okay, last poem. It's new, it's called And My Heart is Wide Open, Truly. We love pavement and we hate sand. We love discordant music that comes together in the end, and we hate romance. Or rather, we hate contrivance and love romance. Or rather, we love beauty, and we cry in the car, we laugh until we cry in the bed with our feet hanging off. It is overwhelming to consider all the places we can belong. I have been a regular at coffee shops all over this country, and when someone tells you they like your jacket, they mean come back tomorrow. You can break a lease whenever you want, but you can also choose to keep it. I don't know which terrifies me more, the way that you're so beautiful or the way that you're so eternal. When I pour the glass of water I place on the bedside table in anticipation of your thirst, it's simply the universe existing. I pour the water and you drink it. The snake uncoils from the root. You use a tissue from the box to wipe your cum from your armpit. How does anything get anywhere? What are the chances the people we love live down the street? When I text you to meet me in the middle of the block at 10 o'clock at night to kiss me on the concrete, you say yes. That's it.
Our final reader is Lucy Shaw. She's the author of 4 books and the founder of the online literary magazines, Shabby Doll House and Profound Experience. And she runs the Profound Experience of Poetry Book Club. Lucy is a self-taught embroidery artist, and she's outrageously good at karaoke. She's also an impeccable house guest and stayed with me in an Airbnb where I didn't have a guest bed or a sofa. She slept on an air mattress for 5 nights, but that slowly deflated during the night. So she woke up every morning lying actually on the floor, and she never complained once. So Lucy Shaw, everyone.
I feel like if you are here, you know that like there's likely we wouldn't all be together, like I feel like most often if Lucy wasn't organizing like literature happening in the world so often. And I think like I feel like she's taken on this role of like showing people year after year, like so many years now that so many of us have known her. Maybe you're new to her if you're here. Sorry if I'm leaving you out, but that like she's taken on the role of like showing us that we're writers, we're readers, we love books, like we're not allowed to forget it. And if you joined any of the Profound Experience of Poetry Book Club meetings like in the past year, you know that. And if you know how Troisième vague came to be, you know that like her experience of poetry, of literature is very much like a communal one. And so when Lucy was starting this book, before she knew it was a book, she was emailing some of these words to some people, and I was lucky to be included on that list and get to respond and like make them about me like I'm doing right now. But one thing I said to her is that, and maybe others have also felt this, I feel like I've just been sort of like, in the last year, weird year, I'm saying like really cliche thing, I guess, but like you feel like you're just sort of like getting by maybe in the past year, waiting for like life to kick into some other gear and like get to travel and see your friends again and be at these readings and like just sort of like be at home in your life in the way that you were prior to the last couple of years maybe. When I read what she was sending over email, I was saying like this makes me feel very much like at home back in like that life and getting to like share life with my friends in a way that I hadn't been getting to. And so, yeah, then when I opened, sorry, this is so rambly. When I opened up the book on page 226, she said something basically what I'm saying now in a much better way, I think. And so I'm going to read like a couple lines. And I confirmed she was not planning to read these lines. So about friendship, she says, what is it that I need to say? How it feeds me? I think that I am a strong person in that I can go without. I have been without these relationships in my life for most of my life. I didn't always have good friends, and I didn't even meet any of these people until I was 24 years old. But to let people in and stop being resilient, that's really something different. So I just wanted to introduce Lucy by saying, like, thank you for giving us this time together here to like stop being resilient and just be at home, like be able to be at home with each other here. And I think a lot of us are grateful for this kind of like a venue.
The kind of person who is just very supportive of everyone and can make community. And I really appreciate her. She's especially been very supportive of me. And I love that. I love that for me. I love that for us. So here's Lucy.
Lucy wants to introduce herself and Shabby Doll House. So I'm going to pass the mic.
Hi. Shall I put myself on shall I put myself on speaker mode or gallery mode just to look at myself? And I think I'll go gallery so I can see everyone else too. Yeah. Hi everyone. I wanted to say thank you so much for coming here tonight. I'm really excited to be part of this with everyone else. And I want to thank everybody who's reading with us. We asked all of you guys specifically because you've been an important part of Shabby Doll House in the past, and because you continue to write things that inspire us. And so it just feels really special to have all of you reading. And there's also we could do a whole other reading with people who are also here, and maybe we should, because it's fun. Oh wait, before I start, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone for coming. It's really fun to do this, and I'm really happy that we can read with you in New Zealand. And thanks everyone. It's currently 7:46 in the morning in France, where I am, but it doesn't feel like that. It's still dark outside, and well, I think it is. I've got the shutters closed, so I don't actually know if it is anymore, but it was when I woke up. But yeah, it's nice. I can see everyone drinking wine and beer, and I'm like, feels like the evening now. That's great. And yeah, the book's called Troisième Vague, which means third wave in French. So it's about the third wave of the pandemic there, and I wrote all of it this year. And then Sarah and I realized that we had both written books and we wanted to share them, and we thought that we could probably figure out how to publish them too. So we just decided to learn how to do that, and it was really a great experience to do that together. And yeah, then actually having them out in the world it feels like a completely different experience, but a really great one. And everybody has been super supportive, and yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for showing up to these things and buying our books and reading them and telling other people about it. It really helps because we're the only people. It's just me and her, so it feels great to have everyone here. Okay, cool. So I'm going to read from this book called Troisième Vague. Oh, also it's a little bit sad, but that's fine. Today my sister, wait, when I said it's a little bit sad, the first part that I'm going to read is really sad. So I don't want you to think that I'm playing that down. All right. Today my sister texted me, "Do you know a Jamie Cooper?" Lol, yeah, I responded, "From school." I thought about Jamie Cooper for the first time in a long time, the most popular girl in my secondary school. Coops, some people called her. She was beautiful with olive skin and blonde highlights, the high priestess of the coolest girls, the desired object of all the sportiest boys, but against all odds, somehow not a bitch. She would remember people's names and say, "Aya," when she passed you in the corridor. I remembered her denim jacket and the way she wore her oversized shirt tucked into tight-fitted and slightly flared polyester trousers. I can't remember what shoes she wore during the school day, but I remember that once the bell rang, she and all of her disciples would slip into their trainers in order to walk out of the school gates, always carrying a plastic shopping bag containing their PE kit and folders in addition to their matching drawstring duffels. I thought my sister was going to tell me that she was working at the same school as her. Kate had been doing a teacher training course in our hometown to pass the pandemic. Anyway, she died, is what she wrote next. Oh my God, what? I searched for Jamie Cooper on Facebook and quickly found out that she had 2 daughters, about 8 and 6, no mention of a partner. She seems to have been ill before, had some kind of organ transplant. I don't know how she died, or lived, or anything about what happened. She's just dead, suddenly, to me. I haven't thought about her in a long time. Haven't seen her in 15 years, probably. Never would have seen her again, I imagine, no matter how long we'd both have lived. I dreamed about both of the dead girls last night. The other one is in the news. I didn't know her either, but she was from the same city as me, York, and she was also the same age as me, 33. Her name was Sarah Everard. She was walking home last week in London, and then yesterday the police found human remains in some woods in Kent. Then they arrested another policeman on suspicion of murder. When you Google Jamie Cooper, the first results are for a 16-year-old cheerleader from Georgia who died from a drug overdose last month in the apartment of a 25-year-old man. A list of things that make me feel good about myself lately. Remembering to buy household supplies such as dish soap, foil, trash bags, etc. before they run out. Cleaning the bathroom. Taking out the recycling. Yesterday afternoon, Chris and I ran a loop that we'd only done once before, the other way up the river. It's not as beautiful, but I was relieved to sacrifice beauty for something different, up and down a lot of small hills. The sky was grey, thick with clouds, and we started talking about who would potentially care for our non-existent offspring in the event of our tragic, untimely deaths. Nobody seemed particularly appropriate or qualified. No offense. This was a sort of follow-up to a conversation we'd had a few days ago in which I said, I don't really feel like I want any children at the moment, but maybe it is something we have to actually think about soon, seeing as time continues to pass. It doesn't feel palatable what I have written so far. Now it's 12:48 a.m., another day, and I'm almost ready for bed. The last time I wrote to you, it was just after my period had finished, or in other words, the happiest time of my month. This time I started writing in the build-up, and here I am now in the middle. The complete lack of activity in my life makes my menstrual cycle feel more pronounced. I'm so aware of it, can feel it carving its way through time like a river. There's no way to be distracted from the agonizing pain and the dull passing of hours when nothing ever happens except death in the distance, and sometimes a new podcast. You can probably tell reading this that I haven't seen anyone I know in months. I haven't seen a friend since last summer, but I've been listening to the audiobook of Remembrance of Things Past, and I spent most of last week alone listening to Alice Notley interviews. I'm trying to get into the zone to write something. My thoughts are more jumbled than last month, though. As I was brushing my teeth, I became involved in an in-depth internal monologue about daffodils, which I bought this morning at the market for the first time this year. The people who run the flower stand are a couple probably 10 years older than us. They always make a point of calling us les jeunes and giving us a free rose. That means young people. We buy a lot of flowers to make ourselves feel better. I painted some daffodils last weekend. I made a card for my mom because it's Mother's Day in England tomorrow, and already today she sent me a photo of the painting in a frame on her mantelpiece. I take the ability to make something beautiful for granted, but I am pleased with myself for having the confidence to put it in the mail. Her first Mother's Day without a mother. I don't even know the French word for daffodils. I know the German word, Narcissen. In York, there is a medieval tower on a grassy hill in the center of the city. Every spring, the hill blooms into a sea of daffodils. We must have all seen this growing up, me and Sarah and Jamie. I can't believe I am writing all of this about flowers. But really, it's about my Nana. She died last April, 6 days before her 90th birthday. She was diagnosed with metastatic cancer, and they told us that she had weeks or months left to live. But then suddenly it seemed like days, and I rushed back to England. This was in late January, and we spent the next 2 months visiting her, first in the hospital and then in the care home before we all got locked down. It was a privilege to spend that time with her. Really, it was. We brushed her hair and moisturized her hands, listened to her stories. I remember saying to my mum that Nana would never see daffodils again. I always associated them with her. April birthday, a sign that good times were coming. But she did hold on long enough. We filled her room with them, and she loved it. What must it have been like for her when the visits stopped, though? She didn't understand. She asked us if there was a war. It feels like so long ago. This time last year, I was visiting her almost every day, and then the lockdown happened and we never saw her again until the funeral. 10 people outside for 15 minutes. This is the kind of thing that people are talking about when they tweet about collective trauma and how we are yet to even begin processing what has happened to us, I imagine. My Nana deserved a proper funeral. Sarah Everard deserves a proper funeral. Jamie Cooper deserves a proper funeral. To type those sentences feels cataclysmic. Saturday morning, church bells ringing for 10 o'clock. I start teaching at 11. I have been teaching 7 days a week for the past few months because it feels like there is no point in taking breaks. What else am I going to do? I'm going to need extra money when we can hang out with people again so that I can buy things that I don't really want. I get up before Chris and sit on the sofa and read something or write something. I finished The Years by Annie Ernaux and The Descent of Alette by Alice Notley and Greyhound by Ayon Ginsberg. I flick through a book of David Hockney sketches for inspiration. I slowly work my way through The Freezer Door by Matilda Bernstein Sycamore. I pore at The Cipher by Molly Brodak, but can't bring myself to open it. Another Dead Woman I Didn't Know. I listen to the audiobook of Tribe by Sebastian Junger, some nonfiction book about veterans reintegrating back into society after combat. On Sunday mornings, loud African church music pours out of the disused pharmacy opposite our building. Live music. Religious services are one of the only things still allowed to happen. They have someone drumming and someone playing an electric organ. Many people inside singing, screaming hallelujah. If we have the windows open, it's like we're in there. But I close them so I can teach my students. I enter my little portal to China. I teach Chinese students. Sky tells me his teacher caught a boy and a girl kissing at school this week. He's 13. He says he doesn't have a girlfriend yet, but I want. I tell him to expect that romantic relationships may reconfigure frequently in the coming years. He draws a diagram of several stick figures and draws arrows between them. Maybe this boy like this girl, but this girl like this boy, and this other boy like this girl too? Yeah, exactly, I say. And what if, can this boy like this one, he says, pointing to one of the male stick figures, testing the waters. Oh yeah, definitely, I tell him, that will happen too. Grace tells me that she and her best friend Star are tutoring their other friend Elsa because Elsa is falling behind and they can't let that happen. Alina says she already knows the story of Little Red Riding Hood and it's too scary. She wants to talk about cakes today for some reason. Lydia is in a restaurant with her entire family eating hot pot. She says it is very yummy. Barbie has a new short haircut and looks really cool. I say, you look 14. She's 12. Eden is in a bad mood but doesn't want to tell me why. No, why? Amy introduces me to her pet moths, which she found in her family's sack of rice and relocated to a plastic bag. I ask if they have names. She says she hasn't asked them. Chris has a big deadline tomorrow. He needs to translate about 7,000 more words of an 18,000 word document he has been working on over the past few days. When it goes like this, I take on all the other tasks required for 2 people to live comfortably. This often used to include packing both of our suitcases and figuring out how to get from one place to the next. But more recently, it just means cooking and washing dishes again and again. We operate symbiotically, moving around our small apartment like pieces on a chessboard. Or at least it feels that way to me. I have no idea how to play chess. Yeah, I'll stop there.
Holy fuck.
Thank you.
Okay. What's next on the agenda? I'm going to introduce Sarah. That's fun. So I was just going to say a bit about like when I first met each of them. So I met Sarah Jean in New York New Year's 2012. It was a real wild time in my life. And Sarah was there and she was great and we got on really well and she's the best. And she has this amazing book, which I love. And I did a Goodreads review of it. And it says, perfect little book, optimistic. It made me feel like joy can be simple.
So what I first wanted to say, when I read this book, it just reminded me of like, I miss seeing Sarah Jean's face and the like, the like big expressions that you make. I feel like every time I read like an all caps sentence in this, like an all caps line in this book, I was like picturing you like yelling it in the way that you yell things without it being like, it's like a happy yell. And so I really, yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed those lines the most, but all of the lines in this book are equally big and important. And anyway, so she's the author of Wild Lives, Loud Idiots, and We Die in Italy. And she wrote many of these poems in Brooklyn while wired shut with a broken jaw and drinking her meals through a straw, which I think she could probably say more about, but if she wants. But I just think that is like pretty wild that she got such a like beautiful thing out of that time.
Yeah, in a second we'll have Sarah read. Sarah Jean Alexander is the author of Wild Lives, Loud Idiots, and We Die in Italy. I've met Sarah Jean only a few times, but I feel like I know her really well through her writing and osmotically through our friendships with Lucy. She is a sweetheart and a really great dancer. And what I love the most about her work is the way it just makes me feel. So sort of melancholy, happy, and totally understood.
I'm supposed to introduce Sarah now, right? So I hope it's not an awkward transition. But the next reader is the poet, the long-standing poetry editor of Shabby Doll House since 2013. She has a new book out called We Die in Italy, which is her second full-length collection of poetry, and some have said her best. She is a great friend and a very inspiring person. So I'm excited to see her read.
Hey, am I on? Can you hear me? This is my first Zoom reading, so I'm a little nervous. I feel like a superstar. I feel like a professional athlete. It means a lot to me to get a Goodreads review from my friends. But yeah, thanks so much for coming, everyone. This is our last reading in our tour, and this is the only one that's during the day for me. And it's cool to read at like 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And thanks for everyone else for coming. Thank you everyone for reading. I've got some poems that I'm gonna read, and then just gonna start reading now. Sometimes it feels that all I've done so far in life is work, as if it's impossible to be indulgent, but then I guess there's also all of the dancing, kissing, drugs, and growing older. I simply like to be alone and provide my own noise. I make the bed at dawn in slow motion. All 4 corners of the top sheet, tucked with precision, set like a trap. Thanks for waiting. This one's called All the Craters on Venus Are Named After Women, which is true. My mother cannot stop loving in excruciating ways. My sister's ex-husband says she is becoming more like me. 2 friends desperately trying to bend it like Beckham. The less beautiful bartender of the 2 bartenders washing out the sink. Jenna Wortham eating weekday oysters on Tompkins Street. I make coffee, I clean it up. Elizabeth Bennet and the ease of heterosexuality. I make breakfast, I clean it up. A crater on Venus named after Mulan. My niece experiencing fascism subconsciously on TikTok. The contemplative cam girl who sits so still, you think the video has frozen. A woman never pressed the war button, but she is capable. In general, I'm very tired of thinking about children. I file my nails standing over the toilet during a thunderstorm. I pick at the same red spot on my chin for days. This one's called Bread. The dough didn't have enough time to rest and I was too stoned to let it. This morning, I thought today would be a good day. I played some easy listening on the radio. I watched some basketball with my husband and the bread was disgusting. Weekend rom-com marathon on E, one hitter in the hotel bathtub, spread eagle on the mattress, sharing takeout bowls of the world's smoothest congee, shrimp chung fun, French wine, and French wine. Okay, I decide everything needs to change, everything become more easy, just beautiful like the Saturday through Monday when we existed in bed, loving on and loving on and on and on and on. I want to fuck until the sun consumes us, lie under a blanket so big that it makes you cry, hide caviar between our teeth, popping against the roofs of our mouths. A hand slips beneath my waistband and I remember standing on a balcony in Salerno, ass out, as both a challenge and a gift. I set another wick on fire and remember my resolution to ask for help whenever I want it. So pick up 2 bottles of white wine on your way home tonight, please. 14 candles surrounding the tub, blush tiles and tin sardines, and suddenly I'm praying to Lisbon and St. Anthony, motherhood and tangerines, white lilies, walnut trees, and forgiveness. Tonight, for example, just Florence, big river, small bridges, so many women. Emotional at Piazza del Duomo, pink, Piazzale Michelangelo, sunset. I have 2 more. This one I don't know if anybody's been talking in the chat, but you can tag yourself in this poem. So just like drop whatever you're feeling. It's called I Am in Charge. Bruised like ash, still crunchy, king of spoiled radishes. Mother of marijuana, sister of mudroom, father of my brother, brother of morning person, sibling of stretching, princess of probiotics, prince of south-facing window, grandmother of golden pathos, grandfather of nothing, friend of matchsticks, friend of dust, friend of doorways, friend of Brad Pitt, friend of isolation, friend of the 4 of swords, friend of comfort, friend of animal teeth, friend of eucalyptus, queen of fruit flies, apple cider vinegar, rot. That's all you got for those. I hope you tagged yourself. I just have 1 poem left. Oh yeah, make up your own, that's better. Thanks. This is my last poem. It's called New Year's Eve poem. It's like a bonus poem in my book. It comes after the end, like the book ends, and then I included this one. I wrote it on New Year's Eve. It's called New Year's Eve poem. All right. Slipped into something a little more comfortable. Short party dress, house slippers, wet hair and a low bun like a founding father. Face moisturized, pink with makeup, and something vodka in a cup. I lit all the candles on the fireplace mantle, considered reading a book, but got very stoned instead. And now I'm trying to think of the last time I was in Queens. No reason, I'm just feeling small tonight. At least we know which bodega sells strawberry soylent and where we can find Laugan Ma in an emergency. And do you recall when we last had oysters, Tompkins Street in the summer? I just remembered. Sometimes you think nothing is going to happen. Then you smash your face on asphalt in Prospect Park as if you can't handle riding a bike whilst a little drunk. You think nothing is happening, but then somehow you keep remembering. Anyway, at some point in the future, we may be able to get away and see someone good while doing it. Adam, Mitchell, Harley, all in Hawaii, and it's going to be really nice. I'm damn sure of it. Lucy and Chris, Rachel and Kim, Mom and Pop, Jude, Mormore, Grandpa Jack, John, Chantal, and Kelly, and everyone who has been around this whole time, just farther away. Matt and Sarah, Jesse and Emma, Sloan, Spencer, Maggie, and whoever else is in fucking California right now. I can be there in 6 hours and I'll scream if I'm not relaxed. What I really want. I drive us through Tuscany, olive groves and vineyards, really, really, really old stone things and villas. It's obvious and absurd, and it's beautiful. I'm driving us through it all again, yellow, orange, and green in big rolling layers, fucking ridiculous. And no one's gonna know where we are for like 2 or 3 weeks. Just imagine. Shopping for a rotisserie chicken in Paris. All right, quit your job, and I'll quit mine. I won't, but I'm gonna think about it real hard. 8 candles lit in the living room. Who do I think I am? Mascara on my lower lids, and it's just for me. My gums still ache from all of the Novocaine, but hello, I can smile now. Yes, I cry when I practice, but that's just what a year does to you sometimes. Sometimes we change in permanent ways, and then sometimes we're allowed to change just a little. I open my mouth and it moves to the right. I yawn and I hurt and I'm okay. My jaw cracks like a gunshot. I can feel it in my heart and my face goes red. I tongue my chipped tooth. I think about gold. I tongue the other broken 8 and think about a lost treasure. Sometimes the safest you can feel is inside of a closed room, socks off, standing on a rug. Sometimes you hear your neighbors' voices and you realize there are other people holding each other all of the time. At night, I stare out my window into everything I cannot see. With my glasses off, I imagine that the street lamp is the moon and it is always full. It's December 31st, so you know, Happy New Year, I love you, etc. and etc. Remember to let me know where to meet you so soon. I'll go anywhere. Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you, Sarah. That was an amazing Zoom reading, I will say. Just a few things. Remind everyone to buy We Die in Italy and Troisième Vague. A lot of you probably already have, but if not, please do. Or if you have, buy it for someone who needs it. And thank you to all the readers tonight and to everybody for being here. The sad part is now we can't all go to a bar, which I'd like to do. Everybody here and gather together. Yeah, I think that's it. Anyone else have anything? Rachelle or Lucy or Sarah?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much as well. It's really fun, and it's a little bit overwhelming and emotional. And yeah, let's just like keep doing more stuff. We'll make some more books and some more, websites that everyone should keep going.
Yes.
Oh yeah.